Welcome to OAC Vancouver's podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We believe that Jesus is needed and relevant for people in Vancouver today. The message of God's love and promise of wholeness was destined to be experienced within a faith community that worships, studies scripture, and prays together. We warmly welcome you to journey with us towards greater connection, purpose, and peace. We'll be sharing our recorded services and conversations with health and wellness experts. Enjoy.
Hi, and welcome to the OAC Vancouver podcast. This is the first of our series to begin to know our church members. Today, we have Lydia and Sten. Welcome.
Hi, glad to be here.
Hi, thank you for having us.
So, what did you both eat for breakfast this morning?
That's a good question. We usually have a family breakfast in the morning, and so the kids and us, we would eat together, and usually a typical breakfast looks like bread and jam, and I don't know, like the regular, the kids would drink cocoa, and we would have some lattes.
Some nice coffee. I'm usually the barista in the house. Lydia prepares the table mostly and gets all the kids the food ready for the day. And I will entertain my coffee machine.
What profession do you both work in?
Myself, I'm a QA specialist in a food laboratory here in Burnaby. And my background is environmental science. And
I work in game design. I work in video games. I'm a level designer. I build spaces and yeah.
During the pandemic, were you both at home or do you have to go into the offices?
Hence, like I'm still at home. I'm still working from home. Kind of got used to it as well now. Like it's strange. Like after a while you get into that kind of setup, and I mean I miss the office sometimes. I miss the people in the office, but we have online meetings and like you know, kind of works.
For me, it was a bit different. I changed employees in between. When the pandemic started, I was still with my old job, and half of our department got laid off, which was kind of a blessing to be laid off in the time of the pandemic because daycare was closed. We don't have any family around. So it was really helpful to have the extra time and being reminded what is really important. Of course, having a job and having an income is really important too, but being able to spend the time with your children, and the time is never coming back. Like sometimes during the pandemic, it really hit me like how much the kids are growing, how much they're learning every single day. So being able to witness that just for a short period of a couple of months was such an amazing experience. And I'm glad I was able to. Since I'm back at work in my new place, I started in December. The first couple of months it was from home, and I had quite challenges being at home, stuck, starting a new job, don't know anyone. Meetings were happening, but without a video. So getting to know people just over a voice and no facial expression was really hard. I was able to go into the office more in April this year, and it was amazing. It was a big blessing, and it made every day easier just because you can interact with people, you see their faces, you can walk into the laboratory, you can talk to them, you find the stuff that you need to audit, or it made my life much easier, and I can work much better on site.
In the early pandemic, what are the blessings, unexpected blessings, and some of the challenges in the early pandemic as everybody was at home?
So the biggest challenge is that we are on our own. It's only Sten, myself, and the kids. There is no one else. We don't have our family here with us in the Lower Mainland. They're overseas in Germany. So that was the biggest challenge. We both had to work, and we both had both kids at home. We started working in shifts. I started my job at 6 a.m. till 12. We had lunch. And then I tried to work in between when the kids, one of Emma was still sleeping at this time and Noah was listening to an audiobook, and I was trying to get 1 or 2 hours in, but it was really challenging. So as I said earlier, I was really glad when I got laid off, because then I didn't have to juggle family, being there for them, and really helping them through those new times. I mean, no one knew what will happen. Like, we were supposed to travel to Germany, Noah and I, for Grandma's birthday, and we couldn't fly. Like 2 days before we were supposed to fly, we had to cancel everything. All the countries shut down. We were not allowed to fly out, and it was terrible. And just being able to be there for the kids, to support them, being out in nature, it was amazing. It was such a blessing. We had a really dry spring and beginning of summer last year. So it was great to be off, to be honest.
Yeah, I had to work a little bit as well. I had the shift from 12 to like 6 or something like that. And then I would usually do something in the evening. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's always in waves or in different there's always different situations, right? Like, one thing that I found nice in some ways is that I felt time kind of flowed differently. Like, I felt like I noticed the seasons more or something, like it's not like in the office or something, like it's a different way. Like, you sometimes don't really notice how, spring turns into summer, into autumn. And when we were at home with the kids, like, I don't know, that felt a little different. It felt like we were a little closer to that, which was nice. But then, yeah, like, problems is always when there's some situation, somebody in the family gets sick or whatever, like that always kind of throws everything around. So, it's kind of like that.
So are your support networks right now just your immediate family? Do you have any support network in the Lower Mainland?
So we had before, like, our church, like OAC is our support network. They're our aunties and uncles for the kids and for us too. So we have our small group and we always helped each other out. But with the pandemic, everyone is shutting down and no one is allowed to see each other, and masks were in short supply in the beginning. So a neighbor of ours, they were sewing masks, and we were so glad we could get one. It's just like everything was in short supplies and no one knew how to behave. What can we do? What can we not do? So the nice thing where we live, it's in Green Tree Village, it's behind BCIT, and there's so many trees. So we went out every single day, and there were children on the street. And in the beginning of the pandemic, they couldn't play with each other. The playgrounds, everything was closed. It was terrible. Like, for the kids, not being able to be on a swing and going down a slide and climb, like, that was the hardest. But we were outside, so we could see at least others. We walked a lot in the Deer Lake Park and in the forest, and going on adventure tours with the bikes, on foot, and trying to make it fun to be at home and having so much extra time to spare. But support network, it was us. And we had one good friend who lives by herself and works from home, Trudy. So she was our go-to person, and we saw her outside of our house. But for a very, very long time, no one came into our house. And that was the hardest part, because our house is always an open place, where it was before.
I mean, the nice thing was we like all, I kind of felt the neighborhood grew a little bit more towards each other. Like, I mean, with church, we kept in touch. We had the contacts from our small group, of course, the live stream, which I think was great that we had that going already, and we didn't just need to start that from scratch, right? We had that kind of already done for a couple of years or even more. And and with the neighbors, that was just, that was your people that you actually, with the appropriate social distance, you had a chat, you could talk about like what's been going on, how they cope, in the whole like rush of toilet paper or things like that, maybe some tips of where something, Costco got something, if you go now, or can you bring something for me or something like that. So that was actually really nice. I think the neighborhood really came together here quite a bit. And And also where you know, as Lydia said, like where people are specialized in, like, you know, people that have some certain capabilities. You're like, okay, oh, maybe they can help us, you know, we can help them with something else.
Where did you guys meet at?
That's a good question. It was over my best friend Holger in Germany, and it was his birthday party where we actually met for the first time.
And he was also my friend. So yeah, we saw each other there. I actually, I think we knew about each other a little before, just because of him. We were on a trip to Vienna, I think the year before, and I think Lydia had made him like this kind of, how do you call this?
Scavenger hunt.
A scavenger hunt. Like she had made little riddles and things for us to, you know, like places to see and something like that. So, and I thought that was pretty thoughtful, you know, from somebody. So I'm like, oh, that's a, you know, that's a nice lady, a nice girl or something like that. If you do that for a friend. So I found that kind of nice. Yeah. And then we met at the party. I think she noticed something on my ear that she had to, she thought I had like, how do you say this in English? Like my ear was bent or something like that, or looked funny. I don't know.
Let's say he stood out of the crowd, so I noticed him.
I'm 1.92 m. Obviously, I stood out.
So did you both grow up in Germany the entire time?
Yeah.
Canada?
Yeah.
How long were you in Germany for?
Well, we just came here 10 years ago. Actually, funny enough, like yesterday was our like 10-year anniversary of coming to Canada, like setting foot. Like, I mean, I have been here before, but I mean, and Lydia as well. But you know, since then we basically lived here. And yeah, up to this point, like I lived there 35 years. Like we grew up there. We have German parents. Like, yeah, we didn't actually have much of a connection to Canada before to anybody.
And we just wanted to come for 3 years for one project. And then it was more, this is what we told our parents. We go there for 3 years and we're coming back. We never intended to stay that long, but now we have 2 Canadian kids and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was just more open. Like I didn't know. You know, I didn't know whether, like, it's just like when you do this, people in Germany, they're like, oh, you want to, I don't even know if there's a term for this. Like you want to, you know, leave Germany for good. I'm like, no, I don't know if I want to leave Germany for good. I just kind of, I'm curious and kind of excited to just live somewhere else for a while. And I really liked Vancouver just from the type of city, like this environment here. I know, I just, you know, it was more like this adventure to kind of see if you could live abroad and live in a foreign country and just see what that means. And for me, at least, it was like, you know, there's a certain age where you're like, if you don't have kids, I feel like that's kind of okay to do. But once you have kids, like, I don't know, like, you're not just going to do an adventure and like drag your kids around. So I thought like that, you know, we have an opportunity now. Let's try that. And you know, if we don't like it, we can come back. Like, it's not that we left Germany because I didn't like it there. It's just, I thought like, you know, I lived there 30 years. Like, let's see how some other places work. And
are both their faith backgrounds in the Adventist church?
No. So that's why Sten and I, we didn't meet before we were connected through our friend Holger. I grew up in Friedensau. Friedensau is like it's a village with an Adventist university, similar to Newbold or Andrews or Loma Linda, just in a really, really tiny format. So in the village, there are about 500 people and 120 people are students. Then you have a senior home with almost the same amount of people, a lot of children. So it's a really unique village. And it is a village. So, but the whole character of this village is more like a town because it has a university. So growing up there was special in so many ways. A, because it was like a city in the middle of a forest. B, it was really diverse. To back up, Sten and I, we both grew up in East Germany. So Friedensau is in East Germany. And we grew up really international there. We had people from Russia, from different parts of Africa, all over Europe. They were coming to study theology, right? And then social workers, and they have different programs now as well. And I don't know, like being surrounded by so many different cultures and all of them being Adventist, or most of them, was really unique.
I grew up somewhat with the Christian faith, but not with the Adventist faith. So I've been a Christian, I've been a baptized Christian actually before, but I have been baptized as an Adventist once I came to Canada, like 7 years ago, about, yeah.
For the both of you, when did religion enter the conversation? Because it's always kind of a interesting thing, you know, when it's brought up.
You mean in our relationship?
Yeah.
Pretty early on. So sorry that I have to bring in our friend Holger. So I went doing my bachelor studies. I studied geology, and I went to Loma Linda for half a year just to do an exchange kind of. So Holger and Sten, they came over to California for a visit, and we were traveling along, and we saw like, oh, there might be something. And we were walking along the beach in Santa Barbara, and we were talking about what is important to us in a relationship. And we both had a relationship before, and it didn't work out. And we talked about what is important to us, how many children we want to have, like what do we think about our lives, where do we want to live, abroad or back in Germany, because I was contemplating if I should go back for my master's to Loma Linda and study there. I don't know, and we talked about faith, and he knew that I was really big into faith. That was really important to me. Being an Adventist is who I am, and I really stand behind it. So there was no question that I would give that up for anyone. Also, what would happen if we have children? So we talked about those things, and I'm glad, because we haven't been dating at this point, but we talked about. And if you know those facts beforehand, at least the cards are on the table and you can decide still, right? Like if you're going for it or not.
I don't think we covered all those topics at that one walk in Santa Barbara, but
it was a pretty long walk.
Yeah, but we got more into this later on. Like I knew that she was, maybe I knew at the time, but I think it was more when I visited her, and like when I visited her in a town called, I don't know what's the English, if there's an English name, but it's called Halle. Like she lived there, and then when I visited her, like she obviously went to church on Sabbath, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Like I was curious, but I was also just, open-minded. I'm like, yeah, of course. At this point, I personally, I was kind of Christian, but I wasn't a very active Christian. Like I didn't really go regularly to church. I didn't really participate in it. It's also in my way I grew up, or the people I know, like people have a belief, but it's very personal, like, evangelical churches or whatever. Yeah, you go to church for like, Christmas, you might go for Easter, and you might do certain things, you might get baptized, you might engage in it a little bit when you are a young adult, like I was part of a Christian youth group for a while there. But then once you start studying whatever, like I know a lot of people that kind of didn't really actively participate in church anymore. And so I was that, like it was kind of like slumbering, so to say. I found it really interesting there because it's just, I wasn't used to an active church like this, to have sermons that didn't just feel traditionally, although I know that Adventist churches are kind of traditional church in some ways, but it's more active. It's more actually trying to ponder or like, I don't know. I found the pastor in Halle really interesting. Like I could connect that person at the time well there. And I whenever we visited there, I was kind of like actually starting to look forward to go there, because I felt it rekindled something, and I kind of liked that. And I think through this, like I didn't decide in Santa Barbara that I'm going to go and be an Adventist or something like that, right? Like on that walk, but that grew in me later more. And even coming here, like I don't think I would have made that decision in Germany. It was more here with OAC and everything, how that works, and we, having kids and stuff like that.
Just a note, like I meant that in Santa Barbara, that for me it was clear I'm not going off of my Adventism, of my beliefs. Not that I mean, it was always like it would be great if Sten accept our faith and comes to church with me regularly, but it was nothing that I would force on him. So when he is talking about Halle, where I studied, or later on in Frankfurt, when I went to church, like I made a point every Sabbath morning, I went to church and I told him, like, you're welcome to come with me. And for me, it is important, it is family. And every church like is different. Like in Halle, I felt really connected. It was a smaller church, about like 60, 80 people. We had potlucks, like OAC. It's awesome, right? You want to go, especially as a student, you don't have family living close by. So your church becomes your family. In Frankfurt, I had more like, it was a little bit more distant. Still, like I went and it was really important to go and just being connected to other Adventists.
It was a bigger church there too, but yeah, it felt like in Halle, I think it felt you were at home. And I think in Frankfurt, we always felt like visitors, although we like went there quite a few times as well. But I don't know, there was always this feeling that we're just, it feels like everybody kind of sees us the first time there or something. Although like Lydia knew, like, because she's from Free now, she just, I kind of felt she knows everybody in the German Adventist church somehow, at least like interesting pastors or whatever.
I knew the pastors because they studied in Germany, in Friedensau, right? So I would know them because I saw them when they had their first like sermon or whatever, or they did something for our youth group. So yeah.
But that's when we would also go there, and she's like, "Hey, this guy is coming. I know him. He's pretty good." And we would go there, and I think we went to Fulda once. I think there was also somebody there that you knew. So yeah, that was kind of cool.
Are there any cultural differences of the churches in Germany and Canada? Or are they similar?
I think it's more cultural differences between people, not so much churches. I mean, you know, German people are nice and all, but we're a little, we are a little more reserved, so to say. When we came to OAC, like Darren met us there. Like, I don't know if you know him, but he was the greeter at the time there. And he just, just approached us and was happy and excited and energized. And the church was just like I don't know, like really at the time, like, he knew Hannelore. He's like, oh, you must talk to this German lady here. She's going to be so excited to talk to you. And, and so it was a lot more welcoming, I would say. And it was a little bit more engaging and free in some ways. But that was also OAC. So, I mean, I must say, like, we haven't
done any church hopping.
Yeah, we don't do that, right? Like, so I don't really know, like, yeah, we haven't really been much to other churches at all. Like, just, I never really felt as well that I needed that or so, because OAC became so much our home. And so I don't know if OAC is unique that way. Kind of like that's just how church is here, or Adventist church is here.
I mean, OAC is pretty progressive and liberal in a way, and you have those churches in Germany too. And where I grew up, I grew up on a university, which is also a little bit more free and liberal, and they're discussing things maybe differently than in a really conventional, traditional Adventist church. But in general, I would say, like, from what I know, we haven't been to any other churches in the Lower Mainland, but from what I know, like in Europe and Germany, the churches are a little bit more towards a liberal side. Depending, like in the southern part, it's more conservative, but in general, like women's being pastors or stuff like that, it's like, it's not unheard of. So, I don't know, like OAC, when we first came to Vancouver, I Googled Adventist Church in Vancouver and OAC popped up, and we showed up, we never left. We never church hopped. It felt like being at the right time, at the right place.
So when you had kids, I'm sure, it changes your life, but how did you approach faith with your kids as they were growing up from toddlers to, kind of an age now where they know what's going on?
I don't know. For me, growing up, faith was always part of my everyday life. In the morning, when we eat breakfast, when we have a meal, we would always pray. We would talk about our day. We will read Christian books throughout the week, like in the evening, bedtime stories, or like on Sabbath morning, there's Bible TV that the kids are watching a show for half an hour. And it's not that it's something special, it is just integrated in our daily lives. The nice thing now, Noah is in grade 1 already, and he is at D-Lake. So for me, it was like, there is an Adventist school in our neighborhood. So of course I want to send my child there, right? And I can just say I'm so amazed how much he's learning about God being his best friend and that he loves him. And for him, it is something natural, like breathing air in and out. This is God is around him. And this is something where I'm so glad that the church, the school, and we could give him this foundation.
Yeah, I think for us, for me, it's like, our rhythm is kind of influenced or guided by it. I mean, we have Sabbath. We, before the pandemic, I mean, I don't know, we were so regularly at church, really seldom that we missed going there or something. And that wasn't so much from like the obligation. It just felt like it's just what we wanted or needed or wanted to participate in. For most of the time.
And you also wanted to see your friends, your aunties and uncles. Like before we had kids, we wanted to see our friends. Shigis were there, and Debbie was there, and so many other people, Joanne and Phil and Angela,
Hannelore at the time,
Hannelore and like Otto. Like we could go on and on and on. We just wanted to see our family, right?
Like that was our family in some ways. Our, extended close family. I don't know, because we don't have family here. Like OAC actually kind of became our family. Like we call Hannelore our, like, it's our Canadian grandma or something like that. And we were lucky to be part of it. Like, we were at, Balvand was really embracing us. We were like often at his home. He hosted a lot of small groups there. We know all his family. We were invited to family events there and part of this. And I think our kids, I feel like, they helped us move. Like when we moved in our place, we had them here. We had food afterwards in our, between the boxes or something like that. So I think it's just for us, it's just part of the natural rhythm of life, I would say. And then, we pray with the kids in the morning with food. We take turns. We pray with them in the evening, and music kind of becomes a little bit more part now. Like they becoming older, like we try to do that more. OAC, like the whole music part of it, I think is really amazing. Like that was also one of the things that I found really cool. Like when we got to OAC, and I still remember it was like Joey and Esther and their kids, and Owen was on the drums. I'm like, oh wow, this is cool. This is a pretty amazing sound and very lively and kind of, I don't know, modern or engaging or something like that. We had a lot of young adults at OAC as well at the time. So it felt like it's a church with a good bandwidth. Like we had older people, there was kids, there's young adults, and that felt nice that you have this good bandwidth of a church. I didn't know that from Germany. When I went to churches in my village or city, like usually was ladies, regular church goers, but you have those huge big buildings in Germany, and often the attendance is very, very slim, and it feels very empty there. And OAC just felt more nice and full and wholesome in some way.
Hearing both of you talk, it sounds like your journeys with Christ have been very natural. Like when you're in a river and you're going with the current, you don't really struggle. You just kind of go with the flow. Has it always been like that for the both of you?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, life is not like a nice dream, where you just lay on a mattress and you float around. I mean, life has all kind of surprises, right? And as I mentioned earlier, I was studying geology and environmental science. So I was in the science world for a long time and still am. And I must say it was quite a struggle studying science in Germany or in Europe, where it is more challenging if you're a believer. I felt like you asked us earlier in the podcast if church is different, if there are any differences like in Canada and Europe or Germany. And I must say, it is way more open in a way. When I talk with coworkers, when they ask me about my weekend plans, I'm like, yeah, I go to church. And before, when we first came, I worked in a laboratory. We were required to work 7 days a week. So they were asking us like, oh, which shift can you cover, like Saturday or on Sunday? And I was saying like, no, I don't do Saturdays. I'm happy to work Sundays, don't worry, but no Saturdays. And then my manager, she took me aside and she's like, oh, Lydia, no problem. That's fine. Are you Jewish? And I was like, no. And she's like, are you an Adventist? And I was like, you know us? It was really surprising. But like being in Germany, barely anyone knew the Adventists in my world, right? In my work, where I studied, people didn't know. And as Sten said earlier as well, like faith is nothing that you talk openly so much. It's really something more private, right? Like if you're in your Christian circles, of course you talk and about your plans and what you're doing, but if you are in your work circles,
yeah, you wouldn't necessarily discuss it at work. That was nice for me too, learning that is actually a little bit more something that is okay to share here, not feel like that's weird or something like that. Also because I actually felt that, at least through my eyes from where I grew up, that people in general are religiously more active here, something that is part of life still. In Germany, you have all the traditions, all the traditional festivals, and there's a long history for this. And there are parts in Germany where this is lived a lot still, but the parts I grew up with, at least in my experience, not so much. And yeah, I struggled with things as well. I mean, I don't know. It's just the journey, right? You read the Bible, you don't know what it means. Like one thing that I like blew my mind is when I started doing with Kumar, like when we started doing the how do you call this? When you get prepared for your baptism, whatever, and you have those like 101 lessons. And he just told me, oh yeah, there's a study Bible. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, there's like this Bible that has like additional stuff. And, you know, it's like, really? This is awesome. Like I bought the study Bible. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Because like you read the Bible and if nobody explains it to you, you might be like thinking about it. And, but I don't know, like it was really nice to actually, I didn't know that something like this existed. I don't think anybody in Germany had a study Bible that I know. So if you wanted to know something about what something in the Bible means, you might need to ask the pastor who does that. I feel like I struggled more with it in Germany and I got more in line with it when I got here. I think what I'm currently struggling with it a little bit, I think it's the normal thing, like you walk towards something. I got baptized. We had a lot of small groups. I was very active. We had a lot of discussions and things like that. And I'm still very active in the church, right? I'm part of the sound team and things like that, the live stream and on the board. And like all of this is great. I think currently what I'm missing a little bit is like that small group side of things. Arise was kind of cool, but I think that was actually almost a little bit too much for me. That I fell off that wagon at some point. It's just like, I don't know. Like I did like the smaller, like, you know, when we went to Balva and it was just about, I don't know, Abraham or whatever. And we would like just eight weeks, just would discuss certain aspects of it. I think that was great. And then you actually get some rest. You know, you don't need every week to, I don't know, wrap your head around some deep religious material like that is a little bit too much. But I did really like the small group stuff where you actually share and talk. And I think to me that was actually the most annoying thing about the pandemic, that whole small group thing actually just evaporated so much. You know, I'm really missing coming together with people and having like just some program for 4 or 5 weeks where we just take material that we discuss in the sermon and kind of discuss it at home and share a little bit and have some food and talk a little bit about life and, have that kind of like extended Sabbath experience a little bit like that. Yeah, I miss that a lot. And I think that's my struggle right now. Like I feel like I'm kind of there, but I'm not making new ground right now. And I wish there would be a way to get that a little bit back.
I can totally relate to that, especially like with the pandemic. We made it almost like a ritual to dress up for Sabbath. And then whenever the sermon starts, we would sit on the couch with 2 kids, we sing, they're still happy. Then the sermon comes, the first 5 minutes are good. And after 5 minutes, like, okay, we're done. We are running around, we're being loud. And I mean, I understand they're just sitting on the couch. They want to play, right? It's like, it seems like a normal day. So that was kind of a struggle to just get some
a little
information
deeper,
out.
a little deeper into something, like learn something and yeah.
And also like just being able to listen, right? So when you started the podcast, I loved it and I still do. Like it is my time when I go on my lunch walk and I go for an hour, I put the podcast on and I can listen to the sermon. I'm like, oh, this is what Pastor Rhoda was talking about. That's awesome. Thank you for catching me up. And I don't know, I'm just in my personal space. I can listen to it. I'm in nature and I love that. So thank you so much for the podcast. It's amazing. Being back in church, yes, we are there. We're volunteering a lot and the kids are super happy to see their friends, having kids church. But being there with the kids in church is not always that easy. I mean, it's great they're older and they're way more quieter, or let's say they're staying on one bench. You don't have to run around like with toddlers or with babies. So that's a big change from before the pandemic to now. But I think most parents, at least one of the parents, can totally relate to it. It's really hard to follow the sermon. And it's not about the pastor who is speaking about the topic that they're talking about. It's just you have 2, 3, 4, 5 children around you and your mind is zoom with them, right? So it's a struggle that I have. And again, I'm glad for the podcast to catch up.
I think you're also very glad about Kids Church.
Yes, Kids Church is amazing. I must say that. Thank you. Because what I really love, Kids Church is now to the time where the sermon happens. So we parents, we can actually sit and listen to the sermon. Like it might make not a big difference to people without children, but people who have kids, we are really, really happy. So a big shout out to Leanne. It's amazing what you are doing. And we are really, really grateful for it. Sten was catching on to Arise earlier and I was leading our small group. We split them up at first. So we had one Arise group on Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. and one in the evening or late afternoon. So the parents, we had lots of parents. So at least one part of the parents, they can attend one, like say in the morning, and the other part can attend in the evening. Arise was a really great program, but as Sten said, it was really intense. Like 4 hours a week was quite a normal week and it was low material, but there were weeks it was 8, 10 hours. It was hardcore in the end. And so our 2 groups got down to 1 group and we were there every second Sunday between 3 to 5, 6 people. And it was nice to talk about, but at a certain maybe halftime, you could see people already like not fed up is the wrong word, but
zoning out a bit or something.
No, we just had so much material. I mean, most of us, we were full-time working, and I mean, Sten and I, we have a family to run and it is just so much.
But it's almost a little bit like, sometimes those life improvement programs, right? Like, oh, you do this thing and, like you start your day different, you do this and this. Like you can't do 10 things at the same time. You have to, you do one thing and then actually keep on doing until it becomes a habit or something. And I feel like with religion or faith, it's a little bit like that. Like you can't do, like if it's too much, you might in the end not do any of it, right? Like if it's some topic that also then has some connection to your real life that you can put into practice, that will actually take some time. to become something, right? Like if it's about, I don't know, finding more time to read the Bible or praying more, or how you are to other people, or, you know, I don't know, there's always something there, right? Yeah, I just think like it's nice if we give that a little bit more time and yeah, can share that with people that we know.
Yeah,
And it
I
was
think
still nice to meet and pray and talk. So
I was
say
jealous
that
of
on a nice note.
yeah, I was jealous of the connection she had there. Like I did like it. I mean, it was a bit stressful for me. Like, I mean, that's why I kind of stopped it as well, because it was just scheduling logistic wise with two parents. Like it just didn't really work. But it was nice to see that Lydia connected regular with Ginger. Like she kept that small group kind of vibe still alive. That was really nice.
Do you have any particular faith-defining moments in your life?
I mean, I can start for once. I don't know. I mean, like I find that, you know, there are probably some, but that I don't feel I want to talk about because they're so personal that I feel like if I share them, it's almost takes them away from me or something like that. Or they are very personal between me and Lydia, where I would be like, no, but it's our thing. I don't need other people to know this. I wanted to keep that between us. The one I can share is like it's actually my baptism. Like I when I got baptized as a how old was I, 14, 16 or whatever, in Germany, like I felt I wasn't ready at the time. Like I just went with the program. It was kind of the thing to do. I had still questions. I had misconceptions. I felt it happened and I thought it went wrong. Like I thought like it didn't work with me, or like it didn't feel right or whatever. And yeah, it just was, I had more hopes for it or whatever. And when I, you know, after we went to OAC and Adventist Church, and, you know, I've been part of the small group for a while, and then I started, I think Kumar actually approached me, I think, at the time, like he was lead pastor here. And yeah, then we had those sessions. I got a study Bible, we prepared for it. And yeah, and we had my baptism, right? And that was before actually Noah was born. And to me, that was special. Like it was where I remember I told Kumar, please, like, baptize me, put me underwater and make sure that I get it, keep me down there for just a little bit. So I'm definitely will memorize that moment. And I don't know, it just felt, it felt good. And it felt that the church that I kind of had already chosen as my home, I could now also kind of show that I was committed to them or something like that. So I still remember that day, and I was glad that Kumar actually wrote me, I think even like a few weeks ago, that he remembered it, and was a great day.
Thanks for sharing.
Lydia's turn.
Actually, yeah, it's my turn. I thought about it. I asked you about the questions beforehand. I was like, which moment? Like, I mean, one moment that that was really special to me, where I could feel that special connection, was actually at my baptism. I got baptized a long time ago, I think around 2000, 2001. I was a teenager. It was as a Pathfinder camp. There were about 900 people coming, and it was a small, not even a lake, a pond. And the people it was outside, it was Easter, it was 6 degrees. My friends who were supposed to be in the arena, they arrived late due to traffic. They finally showed up. My friend Betty came on stage with me when they prayed for us. Then we walked all over to the little pond, and the trumpets and trombone, they were all playing. It was a magical moment, actually. And then we all walked one by one with the pastors. We walked into the water, and it was 6 degrees outside. So it was way cooler. And we were standing there. And as soon as we walked in, we didn't feel a thing. So the baptism happened, and it started to snow in April. Like, I don't know, when it was all like, I don't know, we came out, my grandma and grandpa, they were there, and they were saying, you have this glow on your face. And I was like, what do you mean? And we all got our towels. We walked to the changing rooms, and we were 6 people getting baptized. And as I said, it was really cool. No one of us got sick. We all felt that something really special had happened. And I don't know, like during the whole sermon, there was a wind coming up, and he was talking about the Holy Spirit, and everything felt so right and special. You thought nothing else could go wrong. And then life turned, right? And challenges come up, and your face, or my face, was trialed so much. And I didn't know what hit me after my baptism. I didn't know what was wrong. I just had this amazing experience with God at my baptism. And so many people witnessed our baptism, and it was really, really special. And then the truck came, and I didn't know what to do. So my grandma was actually really, both of my grandparents, they were actually really a big help. And they were reading the Bible every day. We were talking a lot. And I started reading the Bible every day. I found a friend from the Pathfinders as well, and we were reading it and talking about questions that we had, and like just having that routine of reading the Bible every day. I started from the beginning to the end. And first, when my grandma said they do it every year, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, every year you read like Moses, all the 5 books? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's, what should I get out of it, right? And it was actually a blessing to read it from the beginning to the end every single year. Like, that was kind of a routine that kept me grounded as well through the years. And also brought me back, right? Like, back on my feet, and keep on going until the next truck comes. But the good thing is, like, you're getting up again, and you know where to turn to. You're turning to God, and He is your lifeline. So this is where you're trusting on, you're pulling on, right?
Yeah, very often some people think baptism is the end of the journey, and it's really the beginning of the journey.
Yes.
Yeah, and as you said, those trucks come pretty often on there. Yeah, so thanks for both of your time to share today.
Thank you so much for having us, Dan. It was really special to be here and spending time with you tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to OAC Vancouver's podcast. Learn more at oacvancouver.ca. If you're in Vancouver, join us for worship Saturdays at 11 a.m. at 5350 Bailey Street. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. God bless you and have a wonderful day.